Former Charleston County School District Principal Paul Padron is concerned about the future of the school district, and that's why he's running for the Charleston County School Board to represent the West Ashley area. In this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups, I speak exclusively with Paul one-on-one. And be sure to download the free Quintin's Close-Ups app in your Apple or Google Play stores, and listen to this interview later on iHeartRadio. Paul Padron, it's so good to see you again.
Hey, Quintin, thank you for having me. I so appreciate being here.
Anytime. You know, the last time I saw you was when I helped moderate the Lead Women Voters Forum at the North.
You did a great job, by the way. You both did a great job.
Oh, thank you. And there were a lot of tough questions that had to be asked.
Yeah.
From the Marvin Gabbers case to obviously what's going on with the rodent problem at Garrett. When you look back at that forum to right now, what is the biggest thing that still plays in your mind?
You know, like I mentioned there, one of the things that I'm so concerned about is how do we get politics out of public education. For too many years it's been politics had a stranglehold on this, and you can't make the best decisions. There's too many special interest groups, and it still continues to be too many special interest groups. There's groups that are sinking thousands of dollars into the school board election, and somebody's going to be beholden. I don't want to be beholden to anybody except the students in the Charleston County, and the families. That's who and the teachers, of course, and that's who I want to be beholden to. You know, I've accepted no money from anybody. I have funded my campaign on $2,500 that I put in because I want to make sure it's a clear cut that I'm there to do what's best for every kid, not because some special interest group has a rope tied around my neck.
What should every kid in the Charleston County School District have right now?
What, I'm sorry, say.
What should a Charleston County School District student have right now?
They should have what they need, not what the district tells them. The school should have the ability to make some decisions. Teachers and principals know these students the best. I keep saying the magic happens in the classroom. That's where the magic happens. That's where the learning happens. And the teachers need the tools, the support, the professional development, the camaraderie, the encouragement, the pay, to make that happen. They work their hearts out. I've seen it. I've been a principal for many years. I see them. It breaks my heart because they put their heart and soul into their lessons, and they have to handle so many other challenges. Our kids are coming in with, I'm so sorry, our kids are coming in with challenges, and we don't have supports to help that. So it falls back on the teachers, and it shouldn't.
As a matter of fact, you said this too when it comes to the Charleston County school teachers. You say basically this: teachers are afraid to ask for help. Everything gets stuck in the bureaucracy that is of 75 Calhoun.
They do. You know, there's no transparency. They're afraid. You know, teachers are afraid, principals are afraid. You look at their faces, and you see it on their faces. They come out of principals' meetings with a look on their face like, oh, what else is going to be thrown at me? You know, even my last couple of years, it's just like you're looking over your shoulder. You can't be at your best when you feel that's happening. And I think for some teachers, that's how they feel. They don't know what evaluation is going to come at them, what new thing is going to be thrown at them. There's been lots of surprises over the past few years, and we shouldn't have surprises. You know, that's the one thing. Your security comes from knowing what's there, and so many of these teachers, they don't know. They don't know what's there. So it's a lot of bureaucracy, a lot of red tape to get things done.
How many more things that need to get done that should be getting done is not?
Well, I might give you an example just at Deer Park Middle.
Okay.
You know, that was my last position there. So we have 8 trailers in the back. There's a road between them. There's absolutely no cameras on those 8 trailers. Now, that campus is surrounded off of Rivers Avenue. Right. Anybody can jump the fence and just be there. We have no way of knowing. That's a safety issue. It took a year of begging on a regular basis to get those things. That should not take a year. This is the safety of our children. There are some things that are a safety issue, and there are some things that are just fluff. We need to focus on the things that are safety, the things that will protect our children the most, and the resources that they need. Another example, trying to get a stronger curriculum program for the kids. We don't have a strong, coherent curriculum in Charleston County. That's one of our big issues. You know, and trying to get something for them, and trying to train the teachers, trying to give them an opportunity to go and learn from the best. The answer is always no. You know, to me it became like the district of no. No matter what you call down there for, it's oh no. What else they don't know, there's no answer. We need answers. We need to have a smooth flow of information. So when you call down for assistance, you should be able to depend on your district office to provide assistance to the schools. That's what they're there to serve. They're there to serve the schools, not the other way around. So we really need to focus on making sure that our district is a district service. Now, I will tell you, the men and women that work, the people that put up the cameras, the people, they want to do a good job. Please don't get me wrong. It's not them. They are. We have some really incredible people in Charleston County. They've done work, but the resources have to be allocated to them. You know, the maintenance people. I'm sure they would have done an incredible job at Garrett if they had the opportunity and the focus was on these schools. We need to make the focus on the schools needed. Some of these schools don't have the advocacy that other schools have in other places. We have a moral obligation to be that advocate for them. As a principal, I always felt that was my calling, to be the voice for those that can't speak. So, you know, it's not the people, they want to do the job, it's the bureaucracy, the systems that are in place that need to change.
You talk about Gary, obviously there's a problem with the rodents there. Where are you emotionally with that?
Well, you know, I think of all my kids. Every time I walked in the classroom, I looked at the kids and said, how would I feel if my grandson was in this classroom? I wouldn't feel very good if my grandson was a Garrett eating in a place that had rat feces. It's revolting to me that even got to that point. So I think we've got to look at this. Every child matters. It doesn't matter what school they're at, whether at the biggest, most affluent school or at the poorest school. Every child matters, and we've got to make sure that they feel like it matters. That should have never happened. That should have been under control. But what we said, when the bureaucracy gets that people feel like they can't ask for help, or if they ask for help, it's going to be, you know, the answer is always no. That's the problem. The morale in our district is at an all-time low. I've been here for 25 years. I've gone through 3 superintendents. The morale is at an all-time low. And when the morale is low, you can't be at your best. We have got to build this system up. We've got to work on it, because we have the human capital that Charleston County has is absolutely incredible. The people that do work in the district office, they're good people too. Everybody, you know, we have good people.
Sure.
Just the systems that are in place, and the focus is not where it needs to be. It needs to start with the school. It needs to start with the children and work its way back to the district office. Not start at the district office and work its way back to the school. The one thing that I think that I can bring to the board is it's not just policy. You have great policy makers on all those board members are good people. They're invested in kids, but they're policy makers. What they don't know is what happens when they create their policy, how it affects the classroom. That's what I know. Every decision you make has a direct effect on that seat in the classroom. It's a trickle-down effect. It may take a little while. Trickle-down effect is lack of focus on some of these schools that need to be repaired. Well, there we have a rat problem. That's what I can bring. How does the decisions you make when you cut this out or move this money here, how does that affect the school? I've lived it 25 years.
Who is running the 75 Calhoun? Is it the Charleston County School Board, or is it the actual district administrative officials?
Well, it's hard to tell because there's lack of transparency. I think that should be a clear picture. We should not have that questioned. All I can say is, like I said, you know, this administration has had, you know, been in place for 3 years, 3.5, almost 4.
Right.
You know, it's been in place for 3.5, almost 4 years. They've had more a lack of control from the board than any other administration. We should see some things happening here. If not, let's find out why they're not happening, and let's get moving. Let's get moving, because we're falling backwards. The ACT results, that's just an example of, but it starts all the way from early childhood all the way up. We're falling backwards. And it's not that the teachers aren't working their hearts off. I can tell you, they're working their hearts off. And we have the kids. So it's how we provide support. What are we doing to provide for these teachers so they can do what they need to do? So we can prepare our kids so they can take the ACT and score better. We're below the national average. You know, we can't keep comparing ourselves to just South Carolina. Charleston has this habit of saying, oh, we're more better than everybody in the state. Well, South Carolina is not very good compared to the country. And our kids are competing globally. They're competing not just against kids in South Carolina, but kids in this country and kids across the world. We need to start setting our goals a little bit higher of what we want our kids to be ready for.
and you talk about those scores, let me talk to you about, obviously, the Charleston County School District and the 2017-2018 SC Ready test scores.
It breaks my heart, Quintin. It breaks my heart. For the past 3 years, you look at where we were when this test just came out 3 years ago. So to be fair, you have to compare what we did 3 years ago and what we're doing now. We keep failing our kids with this. Like I said, they keep going backwards. They're not moving forward, they're not going up, they're going backwards. Our subgroups, our gaps are getting bigger. We have more kids that are not meeting now than we did 3 years ago, in almost every category. We don't have the movement, we're not moving. When you take away professional development and you take away camaraderie or opportunities for teachers to collaborate, there's where the problem is. You've taken all that away and you don't provide support for the teachers that do want and need the support. You know, learning happens in dialogue between students. It's not just regurgitating information and hoping. That doesn't work anymore. Our test asks our kids to defend their answers, not just to come up with the right answer, but come up with why it's the right answer. We've got to get our kids to work in that way, and our teachers, adults learn that way also, through collaboration, through working as a team. We take away their planning time. They're forced to do paperwork. If they were planning as a group, they would do incredible things. If they had opportunities to plan as a group, they would do incredible things. I've seen it. I know it happens. So what they do now is, I've got teachers that meet on Sunday afternoon, spend 4 or 5 hours planning their lessons. I know that. They do that because they want to do this to the kids. But these teachers also have families, and they deserve some of their attention also. So we have to figure out, how do we give this? And I think a lot has to do with the allocation system, how we allocate our schools. We need to ensure teachers have time to plan, to collaborate, and then we'll see our scores go up because we have the talent. Our kids can do it. There's no doubt in my mind. So we just need to make sure that the setting is correct.
Let me get back to what I've been asking people a lot during Quintin's close-ups about, and it's obviously about the Marvin and Gavin's case, the alleged allegations that took place within the Charleston County School District. I know you're not on the Charleston County School Board, you're not with the school district anymore, but when you look at all this public information that has been put out about the Marvin Gavin's case, what more questions do you have, Paul?
I think the biggest question is, why wasn't it followed up from the district office? If it went to the police office, who was in the district was responsible for calling and saying, okay, where are we? Okay, where are we? Okay, where are we? The other question I have is why, if we have departments in our district, departments like legal, departments like employee relation, department like HR, why didn't they advise? Or if they did, what advisement did they give the people? There's the principal is and the associate superintendent cannot fire a teacher. Okay? They don't have that authority to fire a teacher. They can make a recommendation, but they don't have the authority to fire a teacher. So the people who have the authority, what recommendations were given back? That's my question. Did they tell them, okay, my feeling was this was a classified employee in violation of clear rules of pornography on school computer? That's not even a question. In my mind, that's not even a question. The person admitted, that was from my understanding, from what I've read, admitted that he did have it on there. That should have been cleaned. We can't take a chance like that. We know the rules. Now, like I said, my heart goes out for this guy's family also, because they're suffering through this again. So many people are suffering now, not to mention the poor kids that, it was allowed to molest later on. So many people, and just if somebody would have asked those questions, this is what scares me when there's no transparency. If you're afraid to ask those questions, or you're afraid to follow up, if you're afraid to do those things, things like this will happen. There's got to be clear transparency at the district office and at the schools.
Let me get back to your campaign. If you were to be elected to the Charleston County School District, the school board that is, what would you do on day one?
I think day one, I would like to get some information, get to find out where are we? What are the key things that we need to really stay focused? The data is clear to me, okay? We're not doing what we need to be doing. So how do we engage? We need to engage our communities. We need to engage our teachers, we need to engage our principals, and we need to value what they say. So I think one of the biggest things I started doing is how, the work of education is so large, how can we all get on the same? What are the things we know are true? What are the things we know we can all agree on?
Okay.
We can agree that these scores are no good. We can agree to that, okay? So what will it take? And let's hold accountability for this. You see, the problem we have is the accountability in our district is always starts at the bottom. They always want to start with the teachers and the principals. But accountability goes all the way up the chain. Actually, if a company is doing poor, who's the first one they let go of? The CEO. They don't get let go of the salesperson or the assembler. But it's not just a matter of letting go, because I'm not a proponent of just letting people go. I mean, that's not good either, because you have to look at what are the systems, what are the problems. The superintendent's job is an incredibly difficult job. Incredibly difficult job. So what is stopping us from getting this? Why are kids not reading? That should be our first thing. Why do we have kids that are not reading by the time they get to 4th grade? That has to be a laser-like focus on every single person on that board. Every meeting needs to be questioned. Where are we? What are we doing? Where are we going? Literacy, that's the basis for civil rights. We can get rid of racism if we have literate people that can understand and read. How do we have a group of children in our community that are not literate? Shame on us. Shame on us. And it is our minority kids that are suffering the most with this. We need to focus on this. You want to get rid of racism? Let's make sure that every child in Charleston County can read, can think, can make decisions. It is the basis of democracy. If they can read, they can do incredible things. So that's my biggest focus, I think. I would spend time on asking the questions, where are we at? Where are we with this? How do we all come together and focus on these things that matter? This is the first thing. If we do not allow our kids to read and be able to do that, then we're setting them for failure. Then nothing else matters.
And Dr. Jarita Postway, that is, superintendent, if you were to be elected on the school board, would you vote to extend her contract?
That's a tough question, because I need to have more data, more information. I need to know the workings. Getting rid of a superintendent in mid-year is rough. It's not good. We have to make sure that what we're asking, to happen is really what we want. Like I said, is it a matter of that the superintendents had too much freedom? We elect board members to ensure the superintendent meets her goals. But those board members have to be transparent, and they have to be truthful. Are those goals met? How could you rate good on this when our score is so different? You have to make sure that you're rating the superintendent correctly, for her benefit as well as for the benefit of the kids. For years you're giving a B plus on student achievement, yet it's not a B plus student achievement. Well, give her a C, and let's figure out what it is that she needs to do, because I say she's a very intelligent lady, but we're not going in the right direction. So, the two questions I asked is our student achievement, and they're going in the right direction. That's the first thing. And the second thing, is there a culture of excellence in our district that will allow us to recruit the very best teachers, people that want to come here, because we're going to need the very best teachers. Not only recruit, but retain those teachers. That culture has to be established. And the culture right now in Charleston County is not good. We have people, but the culture is not good. We've got to focus on the culture here. The culture that every child can learn, every child has an opportunity. Those are the things we need to focus on. So those are the two questions I would ask even before I made a judgment on that. But you know what? This is a tough one, because she's been under the supervision of current board members.
Right.
They're the ones that have to make that decision right now. I won't know until if I get in place. Then I would look at all the information and try to make the best judgment possible, knowing that, anytime you change a superintendent, there is a lull period, and it's hard. It's hard. So we have to make sure that is the right decision, and maybe there are other things that we can do to ensure that there's a streamless flow. Every action affects the classroom. I keep going to that, so firing the superintendent has a trickle-down effect all the way to the classroom. So we gotta figure out, is the trickle-down effect something that we're willing to take? Do we make, or is it something else that we need to do? Does she have what she needs? If she doesn't have what she needs, what is it she needs? But like I said, with all the autonomy that she has had, I would think we would have a little bit more success in Charleston County. So, you have to have ask the hard questions and then come up. This has got nothing to do with one person. This is not, the whole weight of the district can't fall just on the superintendent. It's got to fall on every board member, the entire, community. It can't be just on the back of the superintendent. But the board has to take an active part in ensuring that that superintendent is meeting the goals as were set. And no fluff, yes or no. Are they meeting the goals? If not, we either rewrite the goals or we move in another direction.
Paul Padron, thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate this.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to come here.
Anytime. Thank you.